Welcome back to another episode of Haunted America.
Today we read some chilling stories recently posted on Reddit.
Join us today as we read about a frightening encounter with the spirit of a child with no eyes. Then a story about someone having a spirit sing along with them while they were in the shower. And finally, we finish with having passed on relatives as your childhood friends.
All this, plus our reactions on today's episode of Haunted America. I saw an apparition of a dead child with no eyes. This story comes from ILL_Hall_2131. When I was 12 years old, I was in bed. It was around 10:30 at night, and I remember I wasn't very tired and was wide awake. On the left side of my bed was the door to my room, which was open, and I was just looking outside my bedroom door, doing nothing, just staring, hoping that maybe at some point I'll fall asleep, but I wasn't tired at all. My parents were in their room, not far from me, and I could faintly hear their TV, and at the time, my mom had a crystal lamp that she had turned on every night, so outside my room, and my room itself, wasn't completely pitch black. It was bright enough to look around my room, but dark enough that I could sleep. As I was laying on my side, looking out my door, I thought I'd just turn to the other side as maybe the dim light was keeping me up. But as I turned to the other side, as clear as day, what I saw appeared to be a child with white, pasty skin, the color of a cold, dead body. Short, straight black hair, and their mouth opened so wide you could probably fit an entire apple in there. But the worst part that I will never forget was its eyes. There were no eyes at all, just pitch black gaping holes. But I could feel whatever it was, even though it didn't have eyes staring straight at me. It was as real as when my mom would come in the room saying goodnight earlier. I froze for 5 seconds trying to process what I'm seeing. I felt its presence when we locked eyes. It didn't make any noise or move at all. It just stared directly at me. Very soon, the confusion and shock turned into pure terror. And I have never jumped out of bed faster than that night and ran directly to my parents' room, crying and shaking intensely out of fear. I'm now 26 years old, and I have never forgotten what I saw that night, as well as the feeling of its presence, a presence I've never felt since that night. Remembering it never fails to give me goosebumps and a sense of fear. I've never been able to explain it. I never watched horror movies or had anything to do with ghosts and the paranormal, so whatever I saw that night was 100% new to me. Has anyone ever experienced seeing similar apparitions to this, or know if this is a meaning, or if there is a meaning to this sighting? Either way, I have never been more terrified in my entire life.
So first off, I just want to say that I feel like I have had an experience very close to this,
Really?
and I believe I've told you about this. Growing up at my dad's house, I was going to run downstairs for something. I can't remember exactly what, to get my sister. And as soon as I turned the corner to go down the stairs, there was a figure standing at the bottom or mid platform of the stairs, because there's one of the stairs that goes straight down. There's a little platform, and then it cuts down to the left.
Right.
It was standing on that mid-platform area and staring directly at me. And I remember it had a red shirt on and black pants. And the face, it was kind of misty. But I remember looking at it and just being instantly strucken with fear. I was froze for a solid, it felt like a minute, but it was probably only a couple seconds.
Right.
Before I finally started yelling for somebody to come here, because I was so ridiculously scared.
Wow.
And I didn't know what to do. So I feel like that kind of is the same thing, where you're literally frozen and you're just feeling whatever it is looking at you.
Well, yeah, you don't expect to
turn the corner and see something.
And see a child with no eyes.
Right.
This is not a new phenomenon. The black-eyed kids, I know it said there's no eyes at all, but I would assume that no eyes, black eyes, kind of the same thing.
What's that one movie? It's kind of like a funny. I think it's called Scary Movie or whatever, right? Where it's the little Asian kid or whatever standing there in front of the girl or whatever. He's got like black eyes and he's all white and pasty. That's what this made me think of.
That could very well be a reference to that. I believe they actually did a movie called Black Eyed Kids also. Here from Wikipedia, the Black-Eyed Children or the Black-Eyed Kids. It's an American contemporary legend and paranormal creatures that resemble children between the ages of 6 and 16 with pale skin and black eyes, who are reportedly seen hitchhiking or begging or encountered on doorsteps of residential homes.
That was not what I saw, though, because I would have remembered seeing a black eyes on like a white pale skin. This figure from when I was younger had an all red shirt, black pants, and the face I remember was like misty and kind of like moving.
Okay.
One of the comments here, first of all, creepy AF experience. Thanks for sharing. Hope I don't have nightmares tonight. It's possible that you saw an apparition, but equally possible that it could have been a
hypnagogic
hallucination. Those are hallucinations that happen as you are falling asleep.
That's true.
It'd be hard to tell which it could have been without knowing more about the house or the land it sat on. If you have an inclination to research property history, it might be interesting to learn whether any relationship could exist. Where if it were the hallucination, it'd be curious figuring out its meaning. That'd be something to explore more with your own psyche.
Well, if it was a hallucination, there's no meaning to it at all.
Oh, and this one right here, search black-eyed children. It's an actual thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with anything on the property. We don't know that. As Wikipedia just told us that these kids have been seen hitchhiking, begging on people's doorsteps at residential homes. So it could be the property or it could be the person itself.
Right. Alrighty. Next story. Someone was singing with me. This one comes to us by username I Can Make Fetch Happen. Interesting username. I was in the shower singing. I stopped for a while because I wasn't happy. And then I heard a woman's voice singing along as I saw a person pass by my doorframe out of the corner of my eye. For reference, I have a small bathroom. It's a shower-bath combo, and it faces the doorframe, so no room for mistakes. My mom was downstairs making dinner, so I assumed she came up to grab something. I yelled out, "Huh?" and heard nothing back. I finished up my shower and asked my mom if she came upstairs because I saw someone short pass by the doorway while they were singing. She immediately said no, but before you said, "Huh?" I heard a woman's voice saying something up there. So it's interesting, thinking, not only did the poster of this story hear this person, but also the mom downstairs. I never told her that I heard a voice yet at that point, let alone a woman's voice. Cool part, I googled signs that you are being visited by spirits, and right as I scrolled, I felt the tip of my nose get so warm and fuzzy like a spiritual nose boop. We think it might be my great-grandma, but of course we're not sure. All I know is that the vibe in the house feels peaceful. Anyone else have experiences like this? Update. I asked my grandma if she grew up listening to that song I was singing. It's called Beyond the Sea. And his grandma said, Bobby Darin. The song played all the time. We all loved this song. Listening to the song in a few houses I lived in, Harry James also did this song. It was in a lot of old movies. Harry James was a famous band leader. His grandpa, a.k.a. his grandma's husband, was also a band leader. So a little bit of similarities there. So it's weird that the song being sung was like a common song in that household.
Yes.
And that the spirit there, is also seemingly attached to that song as well.
The fact that she got a nose boop, that's
spiritual nose boop.
Right. That's not malicious. That's not meant to be scary or anything. That's literally something your grandmother or grandfather, probably your grandmother, would do to you. Just like, oh, you're so cute. Boop. So this seems very credible. And I would say, I can't remember what the username is.
I can make fetch happen.
I would say you have your grandmother coming to visit you.
Or
grandmother? Grandpa?
No. Grandpa, probably?
Oh,
no, it was a grandma. It was great-grandma.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Yep, going back to read the story.
We actually had a similar experience. No singing or anything, but when my father died, we listened to a lot of Steely Dan.
Oh, yes.
And Little River Band. And one of the songs, there is a very distinct drum solo that is in the song, and we would do finger drums together when he was alive all the time to this song. Well, we were in the attic of an old house that we used to live in, and we started playing the song, and we started hearing the taps, the corresponding taps,
along with the beat of the song
on the floor, and you could feel the vibration on the floor. And we did the 1 knock for yes and 2 knocks for no, and it was spot on.
Yep,
he
responses.
Was doing the finger drums on the floor with me the entire song, and then when the song was over, it stopped.
And I remember vividly that day too, because we were all like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like this, like, is this actually happening right now? We all made sure that you could see each other's feet, hands, to make sure that nobody up there with us was, messing around and making this happen. We all looked at everybody when everything was going on, and none of us were making those noises.
And your grandmother was directly below that room, and we asked her, are you messing with us? Like, what are you doing? And she said that, of course, she's short. She can't reach the ceiling.
She's like 4'5".
She said that she also could hear not just my tapping, but the corresponding tapping from who I firmly believe was my father contacting me and just having a jam session with me. It was incredible.
This comment here, stupid curiosity, but was the song you were singing current during her days, or is it contemporary? I'm wondering if Grandma learned the song from you, or if she remembers it from her day. And then I can make fetch happen. Responded back. It was Beyond the Sea by Bobby Darin. In 1959. However, the original French version by Charles Trenet came out in 1946. She was born in the early 30s.
There you go.
So this song was definitely being played while she was alive. There's a little update down here too if we scroll down. Update. My grandma said that that was her mom's favorite song and would sing it all the time, but great grandpa would play it on the trumpet as well.
There you go.
Interesting.
That's 100% like credible.
Actual like full circle moment there for that.
I can make fetch happen. You had a genuine experience with your great grandmother.
Interesting.
Awesome. Great grandparents as imaginary friends. This story comes from electrical_farm_4272. So my parents often described weird things happening around me as a kid, but this one always freaked out my mom. I was around 4 to 5 years old, and I started telling my mom about my friend I'd play with in my room. At the time, I was only a child, so my mom chalked it up to my imagination and that it was normal for children to have imaginary friends at this age. But the things I would tell her about this friend of mine made her confused. I referred to him as the man in the wall, And when she asked me why, I simply responded, because he walks through my wall. My mom was also confused by the fact I would always tell her that this man in the wall would leave whenever she came to my door, like he didn't want to be seen. What confused my mom more, as I told her, he always gets my name wrong. He calls me your name and asks about Auntie. She asked for details, and I shared with her that he called my aunt my sister, and I had to correct him every time he came to play. Later on, my mom took me to her mother's house. My grandma is a very sentimental, but at times not the most open with emotion, you could say. Her father and mother's deaths were both very traumatic for her. As much as I can remember, she never kept pictures out or talked of them. My mom convinced her to get out some old photo albums on this particular visit. They went through pictures as I played. My mom wanted to share with me pictures of her when she was a child. As she picked me up to see the pictures on the table, I shouted, "That's the man in my wall," pointing at a picture of my grandmother's father. My mom tried to tell me to stop playing, but I started sharing key details about him that I shouldn't have known, such as the hat he wore in the picture. I knew the name of the company on it, and that his glasses were in his shirt pocket, even though he really needed to have them on to see, but instead he didn't. I even pointed out mannerisms and speech patterns he had, mimicking them, like when he spoke to me. And my grandmother had never spoke about him before me. She rarely talked of him ever, due to the nature of how he passed. My grandma seemed intrigued when I said he calls me my mom's name and asks about her sister, my aunt. My mom and her sister were young children when he passed. She thinks he was looking for my mom and got confused when he saw me due to my mom's age when he passed. I've had other encounters around that age too, and when I was older, but that one always makes people think I'm insane when I tell them. I remember most of this and my interactions playing with him as well.
Very interesting story, and you hear this kind of thing a lot, especially with younger kids, like Electrical Farm was, only being 4 or 5 years old when he started seeing a passed on relative. Mm-hmm. And just in general, it seems like a lot of people have that power to be able to see spirits when they're younger, and it seems to just kind of go away as you get older for some.
There seems to be an age range that it kind of goes away, and it's kind of like that age of innocence. When that age of innocence is lost, when the world has told you that those things can't exist, they don't exist, that's not what you're really seeing,
right?
Then your brain kind of blocks it out and you stop being able to see those things. And it's probably around 6 or 7 generally when those abilities, whatever you want to call them, seem to go away. Now, what I find really, really interesting about this, and it's been a theory that I've had about all paranormal spirit ghost encounters, is time is supposedly all happening all at the same time, past, present, future, all happening at one time. Mm-hmm. So, is this the great-grandmother, right? Great-grandmother?
Great-grandpa.
Coming back, but thinking that it's his time period, right, and just interacting with the child. Or it could just be that the child looks just like the mother.
Right. So. And getting him confused. I know when my great-grandpa was alive, he would call me my cousin's name all the time, or call me my dad's name all the time.
Right.
So that might have been a thing that he did, that this person's grandfather did when he was alive as well, and it's just continuing in the afterlife because that's how he is.
He just can't get the name straight even in the afterlife.
Right. But at the same time, like you said, it seems most of the time with spirits, you always catch them from their time period.
Yes.
Like Gettysburg, right? Uh-huh. You always catch those spirits at Gettysburg in wartime.
Yeah.
So, that could also be what's going on here as well. But the spirit at the same time is also intelligent enough to be speaking, right, to this child.
Right.
So
So there's a certain point of I don't want to say intelligence, but awareness.
Yeah, awareness. Yeah,
of the other reality that it's interacting with.
Right.
It's fascinating.
And this, like I said, this isn't the first time that a story like this has been told or has popped up. This kind of thing happens all the time, whether it be with a passed on relative or just another spirit when you're younger. I know my little brother, when he was little, he had an imaginary friend, something weird, something with the Z it started with or something like that. And he would talk to this person all the frickin' time. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know who he was talking to at the time because I didn't rein in my abilities at that point in my life.
Yeah.
So this isn't something uncommon. Very good story, Electrical Farm 4272. However, my favorite story is going to be the first one, with seeing the pale child with no eyes, because I feel like I relate to that story more because I had an experience kind of like that when I was a little bit younger.
For me, I mean, the child one is definitely very creepy, and I like that one. But for me, the grandparents one kind of hits home because I actually maybe not quite as detailed as an experience, but my great-grandmother who had passed on, I had seen her come into my room when I was very young, and it scared the hell out of me, of course, and I was screaming, "What do you want? What do you want?" But it looked exactly like my great-grandmother who had just passed, and she was just standing behind the door, and then she was gone, and I bolted out of the room to go tell my mom what had happened. So I identify with that story the most.
Alrighty. That's all the stories that we have for you today. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to today's episode. Remember to subscribe, follow along wherever you listen to your podcast, and we will catch you all on the next episode of
Haunted America.